That is cause for violence, not for free speech.
The last speaker is Steve Kramer.
Thank you.
Build that wall.
Good evening, Council. And first, I would just like to thank you for your gracious welcome of all the commenters and making us feel so welcome. It's always nice to be in a pleasant environment. And then I would also like to apologize for even being here to take up these 2 minutes, because over the past few months, it's pretty obvious that it's obnoxious to you all. And thank you for Trudy for indulging my vanity, because like that GovTV audience is just something I can't like stay away from trying to get on, and here I am. And anyways, just sorry about that, and sorry about my presence. In fact, I just did want to read a couple quotes, because there's been some great comments tonight about the night of the protest, and I would like to talk about those, and hopefully there'll be time. But Dan Lewis, you have some strange, quotes coming out the past few weeks about this one, for instance: the violence that we're seeing this evening is absolutely unacceptable and is not the fault of Donald Trump, his campaign, or the attendees at the rally this evening, Lewis said in a statement. And it goes on: these organizations this evening devolved from community action groups to hate groups by every usual measure. This was not a protest, it was a riot that was a result of a mob trying to cause damage and injury to the public property. And then just to juxtapose that to a quote regarding our city attorney here, Ms. Hernandez, the quote: this letter clearly states that there was a misunderstanding. Regardless of who's at fault, there's no point in blaming anyone. What's the point in that? So I'm a little confused at how we can be so quick to blame an entire event on one organization or one individual, and then go on when we have very objective evidence from the monitor, the meeting in March. I mean, he's really clear about what the problem is, despite the continued apologies for it. I mean, he can't say it much more clear. I just want to add to that despite what people are saying about being in the real-time crime center or whatever, we were on the ground and those horses ran people down, and that's when the crowd flipped out. And I'm happy to debate that with anyone at any time, including right now, since we do that in public comment now.
Thanks, sir. Your time's up. We're going to go ahead and take our 3-minute break.
Get it out! Get it out of here!
Councilor Pena.
Build the wall! Get it out!
Councilor Pena.
Please. Steve, can you tell me a little bit about, you had explained to me kind of how it worked out in terms of people being cornered and how it could have been better planned. I think, these are some of the conversations that we need to have, because it's not to say that there won't be other, protests in the future. And really, when you work together with the police department to kind of plan this ahead of time, can you tell me a little bit about what you think could have happened a little bit better than pre-planning? Just briefly, though, Steve.
Yes, I'll be as brief as possible, and thank you for the question. I do want to add that, going all the way, sorry, is that better? Going all the way back to like the 330 March in 14, we've been in the street a long time, and I've seen the police sort of evolving through these reforms. And I do want to say, like, by and large, through most of that day, the relationships out there were pretty darn good. And what I noticed, even when the crowd did sort of break that soft barrier that was there on the southwest corner of 2nd into Harvest, so that crowd moved up into the plaza area, and like music was still playing, jokes were still being told, there was still conversation with the police officers themselves. Things were reasonable. They were kind of planning it because it was kind of amping up. And my point that I had tried to make, and I tried to make to you when you were kind enough to hear us out, was that the plan that night was obviously for the officers to move from the west and pushing that crowd to the east. So if you can just imagine where we're at, everybody knows it. There's nowhere to go to the east, and there was nowhere to go to the south. And they were saying, you need to move to the south over the PA system. And what I'm saying is, if you're going to move 100 to 200 people, you really need to know where that back door is for them to get out. And I would hope that the people, in charge of that planning really think about that, because they were kettled and there was nowhere for them to go, and it was going to go bad, and it did. And it's on video. I just want to add this, and then I'll be quiet. The moment when the energy shifts, it's on video, and it's not an opinion, and it's not subject to conjecture or any of this other stuff. It's when they moved the horses in and the people that weren't physically fit enough to get out of the way fast enough couldn't, and then it really it angered the crowd as it should, and I'm not really sure we should be apologizing for that. I'm sorry.
And Steve, so just to make a quick point, so when we discussed it, you talked that overall the police had done a good job. I just want to make sure that it's not us against them, but it's really about, you know, these things happen in communities, whether we agree or disagree with them, they happen in the community, and if we could work better together to try to alleviate anything in the future, we need to do that as the city, because we have to make sure that we keep people safe. And I think that the people who tried to do this initially tried to ensure that people were safe, but like I said, you know, when we call for something like this, we better be prepared for something, you know, bad to happen. And then I just want to end with saying that, oh, I just lost my train of thought. I was going to say something else, Steve. But, you know, I just really appreciate, you know, having that conversation with you and us really learning from this, because at the end of the day, I think there's a valuable lesson for us all to learn from what happened on that day. So thank you, Steve.
That should never come back to the city.
Thank you.
We'll take a 30-minute break.
Get him out of here, Dan.
We'll look at
Well, the environment